My name is Douglas Nderito. I am a Laikipian. Myself, I'm a professional accountant in management accounting and strategy. I'm happy to say now I'm working as a regional financial controller in charge of overseeing the African region and United States of for a UK. Our work involves helping developing and low-income nation business. There is a lot, yeah, and I thank God because some of these, just to say and allow me to say,
Yes,
some of these
please.
platforms that I've been able to, this is one of the fruits that I met accountant, and it's a privilege that I take, and I take it humbly. Besides that, I do farming.
Graced you to achieve. And I want to know, how do I make...
As a reader, to be vision of some potential that we have. But in most cases, we are in a state where maybe people in physics will call inertia. We are complacent of some inbuilt things that we have. And therefore, we require a leader, to jumpstart us, to take us, get out of our skills, a mother in early ages. And she inspired me to, that despite all those things that I went through, I've been able to maybe get to Form 4, all right? But what about you? You have two parents, you have a father, you have a mother. What can you do? So she was able to inspire me, and of course even to even my siblings, to achieve more. I would call leaders, and allow me to give examples because I don't want to go into academics. Look at this pulpit, for example, that we eat from. This pulpit is a leadership pulpit because it's able to inspire us to get to a full potential. For example, a pastor, and he will talk about us being conquerors, those kind of things. And that is what I will call leadership. Leadership is in every sector, in every level, there is leadership because it's about inspiring, it's about people. As opposed to management, where it's about controls, about systems and structures. Leadership is about people. So they are looking at people, communication skills. And of course, leader is also a follower in terms of that you need to listen to other people. Because I remember one time, and my brother and my elder, my friend and my elder brother, Abel, is here. There is a time I shared with him my discovery insights. That is when I was doing leadership course. And one of the things that he said is that that discovery insight was truly a reflection of myself. Why? Because I did some research, and Pastor Hilda, who is not here, was part of, the interviewee of my leadership. Because we were doing leadership inside out. And, that self-awareness, you need to get people as followers, because leadership is about getting and earning followership. So it's like when you have people around you who can talk to you because you are communicating, they can really tell you some of the blind spots that you have. Because every person has a blind spot. And if you look at even in biblical terms, and somebody like Moses, who was so much overwhelmed during the exodus of the children of Israelites, he had to get somebody like Jethro, to show him, maybe you might not call it a blind spot, but it was a blind spot because he was not able to delegate properly, and he could crack or burn out and fail in his mission. So a leader is a person who listens, is a person who will offer good communication, and communication is effective communication. It's not just a monologue; it's a dialogue.
All right. Yeah. You having traveled in all these countries and having done, worked in so many organizations, I want to talk about organizational culture.
Yeah.
Which one would you buy into, and which one would you sell? Which one did you see that this kind of organizational culture is one to borrow from?
Maybe just to answer that question, maybe I go back to what is a culture.
Oh, yeah.
Being, those social behaviors of people. And one person, one guru, and this is Peter Drucker, once said that culture is strategy for breakfast. If you look at most of the organizations, including our country, Kenya, for example, And I'm not in any way going into politics, although everyone is a political being. You find that in Kenya, we have so many strategies, and including what our dad mentioned the other time, Vision 2030,
Yeah.
Big Four agenda,
okay.
and all those kind of things. We have good strategies. We have good structures. We have, we have systems in place. But what we lack is that culture. And that is what Peter Drucker, is what we call the father of strategic management, said, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So long as the culture is not
Wrong,
right,
yeah.
as much as you have skills of people, as much you have anything that you call in an organization capability or resources, you might not be able to achieve the potential of that organization. So culture is the key thing, and culture will be embedded by the leaders, the way they behave. It's all about emotional intelligence. It's about communication. It's about the leader being available, the leader being disciplined. If you look at companies like, I know you have read books by Jimmy Collins, and I know your program, Built to Last, maybe has borrowed that name from one of his books, Built to Last, and great by choice, or good to great. Most of those books and the underlying theme is about the discipline. It's about people getting focused, staying in the mainstream, the hedgehog strategy, that you focus on one thing and you want to do that one thing best. I think that is the culture that every country, like for example, if you look at, without talking politics, why we go around in Kenya, it's not because we do not have a strategy. But one thing that we do is that we do not have that culture of consistency. Yeah. We do not have that culture of persistence. We change, and political regimes come and we change things to maybe to fit political expedience or something like that. Yeah. But if we remain, for example, with the Vision 2030, Kenya will be somewhere. And I'm just talking about Kenya as a, from a macro level, but also in the organization. Most of the organizations that have failed in this country is because they have not adhered to a disciplined culture. They have not focused on one thing. They diversify. The board of directors who govern most of these companies and who are supposed or mandated to offer strategic vision, they've lost vision. They are not, they don't remain focused. They don't remain like a hedgehog. The hedgehog knows one thing only, that when I encounter danger, I roll myself and I get whatever. And that is the only strategy that he has. And he survives. But as we have people come into the board of companies and they get, they bring other personal interest, and therefore we lose. I think that is why I would say that culture is important. And again, allow me to say, if you look at, for example, a model from McKinsey, I believe I have not pronounced the other name of Shakahola.
You are.
I'm talking of McKinsey. This is a 7S model that talks about, for an organization to succeed, it needs the 7S. That is, and they call it hardware and software. And you have heard even our leaders in our country talking that what we lack, we have the hardware, what we lack is the software. Even McKinsey, one time he developed that model of 7S, and he said that the hardware that you need in an organization is, you need strategy, you need structure, you need system. Those are hardware, you can see them. And how many organizations have you had going for strategic planning? Retreats, those kind of things. They have those hardwares. Kenya, we have a constitution which is part of the hardware. We have the Vision 2030 is a hardware. But you find that the softwares, that is the skills, the people, the style, and the shared vision. And this is the key thing, the shared vision. And McKinsey did put that shared vision, that component of the shared vision, as a central thing that combines all the other things. That without a shared vision, even if you have a strategy, even if you have structures, even if you have, staff, because Kenyans are very qualified, but are we maybe achieving our potential? No, it's because we do not. And if you look at Kenya and interpret it critically, without and being objective, you will find that what we lack is a shared vision. And that is the culture. We do not have a culture. We don't have patriotism in our country.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that I think the organization that I've worked with and the organization that have been able to do, to be impactful, they have been able to have shared vision. And this shared vision is not just a vision that is with the CEO or with the board, but is the vision that is, you know, cascaded down to the last person. If you remember, and allow me to give an example.
Will I allow you, really?
No, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember during the mission, I remember I wasn't born anyway, but we read.
Okay.
Because we are leaders. If you remember the issue of NASA, John F. Kennedy, when he visited NASA, when they wanted Americans to take people to the moon. They met a cleaner.
Yeah.
They met a cleaner. And that cleaner was just cleaning. And one thing that cleaner said, you know, Jeff, I think the story is that the president said, you have done a very good job as a cleaner. The cleaner said, no, I don't do cleaning. I take people to the moon. This is the shared vision that they have. That everybody in the organization, regardless of your position in the organization, you are tuned to the overall vision. And this vision is what you have. We have it as a shared vision.
Yeah. We'll take that one. That one was important. All right, let's do farming.
Yes.
You have a passion for farming, and it is believed now the next big thing will be farming.
Yeah.
And that is to do with food.
Yeah.
Talk to me about agriculture.
I think let's start from here and let's get some statistics, for example. And we start with the global statistics. The world today will have a population or has a population of 8 billion. And it's increasing.
Rising.
If you look at Kenya, for example, we are at maybe 56 million. And in 2050, it's projected that Kenya will have maybe like 84 million people.
In 2050?
2050. That is 27 years from now. And believe me, most of the people who are here, including my mom, will be there in 2050.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, they will be here in 2050.
Yes.
Today, I'm just putting a foundation on statistics.
Why, yeah.
We are, and the statistics are, in Kenya, for example, at independence, we are 60 years now. At independence, the expectancy, life expectancy was about 48 years. Today, average that is, we are at 67. So people are living longer.
Yeah.
Okay? If you look at mortality at independence, people in 1,000 kids, 160 used to die. Today, only maybe like 57. So you can see that in Kenya, for example, right now, the statistics that are there, we have about 232 kids being born in an hour. Okay? Compared to about 57 people dying. So you can see the kind of increase. And why am I building these statistics? It's because you will see that today in Kenya, we are suffering from food shortage. Something that we have attributed to climate change. It's true. There is climate change. There is geopolitics in Ukraine and other countries and Russia. But we, as a country, we have not been able to achieve food security. And food security in this case means that food is available, food is accessible, food is affordable. So do we have those attributes? And with the growth in population, what shall we do as a country? And that is why agriculture in the world, based on those statistics, that the world population is increasing. And there is a lot of climate change. And you can see what people are doing. Even in Laikipia, for example, we are changing land use massively. We are selling every inch of land. We are selling it, and we want to convert it into a plot. What will happen to those people that are being born, or the population that is increasing? Where shall we find food for them? That is why I think agriculture is the business of the future. And if you look at people who are, even Dagote, for example, who is the African wealthiest person, is venturing into agriculture. And why? It's because agriculture is the potential. You have the clients, and as a country, we have maybe the resources.
All right. So let's talk about agriculture. We are used to the subsistence of agriculture where you do something small for your family. We want to do commercial. Talk to me about that. What are some of the things I should put into place? And I'm doing that just because of time.
Yes, fine. I think what has happened, and I did a research paper on institution of voice in small scale farming in Kenya. I'm a business person. I'm in accounting and statistics, in maths that is. But I decided to do a qualitative research, and that research was on institution of voice in small scale farming. And one of the hindrances in small scale farming is the access to market. You know, where farmers, you need to take your products to the market physically. And with poor roads and those kind of things, it becomes a huge issue. The other factor is the issue of data or record keeping. You find that farmers do not keep records because one is that most families who are subsistence farmers, they use their kids as laborers. So they feel that there is no cost to
Yeah,
that.
true.
They don't attach cost. And it's therefore, the commercialization of whatever they are doing becomes very hard. So I think the key thing is about, moving from subsistence farming
Yeah.
to, to commercialization. The other aspect is the issue of integrating the youth into farming. Because you find that in our country, for example, you find that most of the youth, and most of the society, let me not say the youth, that we perceive that farming is for, for either the retiree, because my parents, when they retire, they switch to farming.
Yeah.
You find that they are for illiterate,
Yeah.
milkmen and those kind of things. We as the youth, and maybe if I call myself a youth, we as the youth, we have not been able to embrace this farming.
Yeah.
And you see, the future with the fourth industrial revolution is about automation, is about digital farming and those kind of things. Those concepts can only be achieved by people at least who are data savvy or technologically savvy. And therefore, for the farming to take shape in our country, for example, is for youth to embrace farming and the people who are doing farming to embrace commercialization.
Okay. What is your... You have started a program in farming.
Yeah.
Talk about that just in a minute or so. I'm hurrying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a project that I've been passionate about, and I'm trying to do a lot of research in it.
Yeah.
My farm is more of a research evidence-based farming.
To help in farming.
Yeah,
and
to
we
help.
want to help these people today
Exactly.
to be able to adopt that kind of farming.
So what I'm doing, I don't do crop farming. I do animal farming. I do pigs. I do chicken. I do cows. And I have some sheep. So those are the major projects that I do. And in this project, especially in pig farming, where I think I can say I've achieved maybe 90%. Because, and I was in the ACK, Agricultural Show, to showcase my pigs, is that I'm partnering with a company in Germany that is called Ivonic, and that is where technology comes in.
Yeah, in agriculture.
In agriculture.
Yeah.
And this company is a manufacturer of what we call amino acids. So instead of us, we are talking about the issues in farming is about climate change and those kind of things.
So first, can we say what first is making farming not work, so that you show us now how you are solving that issue?
I think the why farming is not working is because we are still using traditional ways of farming. And with the current global issues, which are either climatic, soil erosion, or those kind of things, geopolitics, for example, that maybe things like fertilizer that farmers now in Kenya we are crying about, is because there is war in Ukraine and Russia where they produce the whatever for fertilizers, and they are not, we don't have access to them. And those issues will not go away.
True.
In one way, Pastor, to say is that even wars in the world, I know I'm in the pulpit, they might not go away because there are companies who are manufacturing machinery for war. So we might not run away from that, and therefore we need to think of how do we mitigate those
Yes,
issues?
true.
And the mitigation is about embracing technology. It's about, you know, in Kenya, for example, if you look at the platforms that are there, the cloud farming, smart farming, you know,
Yeah.
things that, you know, they are mechanizing, or not mechanizing, but digitalizing agriculture. I think that is where we need to go. It's about digital, because what is digital is making that we now are in a position to utilize the scarce resources in a better way and increase productivity, increase performance, you know, increased longevity of the products that we have. And that is, I think, what we need as farmers. Because, for example, if you're talking about land, in my generation, for example, I'm not looking for a ranch of 10 acres so that I have, you know, mass production. I will still, what I can access right now is a quota. But how do I utilize that quota to be productive? I think technology is the key thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take to me details like now pig farming, if I may take that one.
Pig farming. I think what we're doing, and with the technology, is that we know raw material. Example, cotton, for example. You know what happened to cotton industry in Kenya, is that those resources are getting depleted every day, and therefore we need to come up with a solution of using healthy and safe products, for example, which can be maybe chemically or something manufactured and make productivity, enhance performance and profitability. So, for example, in my project, we are not. We are still investing, but at least we are able to offload some pigs. Like, for example, we will take some pigs to Farmer's Choice on Tuesday. Maybe by the end of the year is when we will have fully utilized or fully, achieved our targets. But if you look at even what I'm getting from Farmer's Choice, for example, which is a big company, is that they are wondering what I'm feeding, what I'm doing with my pigs. Yes, the cost is a bit expensive, and we are working on that. Yeah. But because of sciencing the feed formulation, instead of thinking about just feeding a lot of soya, feeding a lot of maize, we are asking, and the key thing in agriculture, that you want to reduce the wastage as much as possible. So most of the feeds that we feed our animals, most of it gets excreted. And it affects the climate, by the ammonia and the nitrogen that is excreted through the whatever. But now with the sciencing, you do precision feeding, whereby in chemistry here, instead of giving animals that makes the protein. So by knowing what is the requirement of amino acids in animal, maybe in my pig, I'm able to achieve my pig from 0 day, maybe at 1 kg or 1.5 or 2 kgs, to 100 kgs in 6 months. And that is an achievement. And we are working to reduce that duration to maybe 5 and increasing the profitability of the project.
Yes.
Yes.
Talk to me. The details you've put into place to be able to achieve that.
It all starts with the basic, the basic management will be required.
That's where we ignore.
Yes, because that is where we go wrong. Yeah. Even in our exhibition, their money into that farming, but they do not know the returns because they don't have records. So I think the key thing is, in my farm we do record keeping properly. Yeah. So we know what are pigs consuming, what are the chicken producing, and therefore we can be able now to know what price can we offer to the market. As much as we do not have a lot of control in the market, but there are two ways, only two strategies of getting profitability. Either you are increasing the price, and the volume, or you are managing your cost. So I think the key thing is record keeping, the basic, management, the staffing issue, the cleanliness, because in pigs, there are only 3 factors. There is the issue of nutrition, which we have addressed, the issue of hygiene, that is biosecurity issues, and the issue of the breed. And breed, you can be able to source anywhere. People are now, with technology, you can be able to import even semen. So some of, with those factors, and now you are owning entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because in every production, it's just labor, capital, and entrepreneurship and rent, maybe the place that you have. So once you get those right, the basic management skills, I think you are good to go.
All right. What do you think about GMO, especially when you spoke about, 5 months? What do you think about GMOs?
I think
the president has to be very dramatic to convince us.
Yeah, I think the president is a biologist anyway, and yeah, because I think he has done botany. I think this is a controversial issue, and I don't have any authority to speak about it. If it was my sister who has done biochemistry, maybe you would be authoritative to talk about it. But I can just speak about the cons and the pros of GMOs. What GMOs are doing is that we can have more yields, we can increase the nutrition value of the products, we can produce withstand the climatic harsh and changing climatic changes. But at the end of the day, we have some safety concerns on GMOs. One is, people have attributed GMOs to cancer. People have attributed GMOs to allergy. But if you look at countries like America, which started, I think, GMOs in 1994, what they have put in place is that regulatory mechanism. And this is maybe what the Kenya government needs to do, to have a regulatory mechanism. I'm not advocating GMOs, but what I'm saying is that living in past VUCA, volatile, uncertain, uncertain, and ambiguous world, whereby things are changing, and we have to adapt. Just the way we were able to adapt to COVID, like people used to wear masks, wash your hands and those kind of things. So agility and adaptability will be a key thing. And I think the way to go with the GMO, maybe, will be people will have to adapt. I'm sorry to say that. But again, look at something like the broilers that we are raising, which started in America. And they started broilers because of the rising demand of chicken. And they found that, if we wait for a chicken to mature in 6 months, we might never meet the demand of the population. And what did they do? They started introducing those genetic, because GMO is about genetic engineering. And if we are now consuming broilers, and they grow at 35 days, will you run away from GMO? I do not know, but anyway, it's not something that I don't have an opinion at the moment.
All right. We'll let the class ask questions on this. Welcome. Yes, there's a question.
Thank you for the opportunity. And Douglas, congratulations what you are doing. I have 2 questions. One, you are doing somewhere. What advice can you give to somebody who wants to begin maybe pig farming and also excel? And 2, what are the challenges that you encountered before you get there? Maybe you are linked to, you've told us, to a German company. What are the steps that you took to get there? Thank you.
I think once you have passion for something, you can achieve. And in this world, we do not get what we want. We only get what we negotiate for. So once you have passion for something, even for me to get in touch, and maybe the passion, why I'm saying that the passion is the key thing is that, Pastor, in the book by Paulo Galileo, the alchemist, it says that the universe conspires to give us that which we want. So anything that we want, so long as we have that inner, passion, that inner burning, we will have it. For example, some of the contacts, for example, the German company, it's not that I searched for them. It's only that, through my research, I get in touch the other month they invited me to Nairobi. We shared with them. I got contacts for representative in South Africa, in Egypt, and those kind of things. And you do not have to go all that way along to get those contacts. But there are some distributors who are around. So it's about passion. The other thing is that the challenges that we encounter in our country, for example, in farming, and this is something that is it's common to everyone, is that we have a lot of middlemen in the marketplace that make us, they take everything from the farmers, just a laborer, but the profit goes to somebody. If you remember, if you know this company called Twiga Foods, that is led by Peter Jojo, who was the one time a CEO of Coca-Cola, and he started these Twiga Foods, not Twiga Chemicals, but Twiga Foods, that are doing distribution. And what they are doing, they are mitigating is a logistical company that is using technology. Places, they are doing bananas. And what they are doing is using digital platform to place order from the customer and those kind of things. So I think some of the challenges we can farming. Because if you are talking about the government assisting you or those doing things, it might just go that far. For example, in Kenya, for example, we have what we call sustainability agriculture towards food security, that a strategy that was launched by, it has a lot of pillars of how we make Kenya food secure by 2029, because it was 1 million small-scale farmers, the way they will assist. If you are waiting for that, I can promise you will never get. So it's about your passion. There are so many challenges, but with your passion, bottom line is that the products that you are producing, they have a demand because of the population growth. And this population growth is not stopping. It will be there for years to come.
Maybe you can visit him in his farm to get
Yes.
just the little details. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question on look at it on the general scope of socioeconomic aspects. What is that strategy and culture a young person should develop to make them lay a foundation of a growth to achieve sustainability for himself economically and his little, let me call about the environment. I don't talk about the nation. I won't talk about that small area where somebody lives in. Without somebody, we're looking at it this way, where we get, this is not a person who is academically very well fast with those things. This is a person who is not very exposed, but would want to start somewhere, have a strategy that will make the person start somewhere and start raising and developing a culture that will make them achieve. I'm looking at the shopkeeper who have been at the shop all the time and not going anywhere. I'm looking at the dressmaker who has been somewhere and just there, not growing. I'm looking at the young man who have been educated and has been in a job but has been wanting to start something all through, but does not know or does not even have ideas on how do I steer myself up to start moving up. What would be your mind about that?
It's a tricky question. If you're talking about somebody who is, a shopkeeper who is stagnated, I think I would go to ask myself, the reasons. And one of the things is that we live in a community, and one of the things that I might advocate is the mentorship of the youth, and that is what maybe the church and some government programs are doing, because some of us, we do not know what to achieve something, but given a motivation and inspiration, we might be able to do it. If there's a shopkeeper who have been stagnated and he has not been doing business and he has not been productive, the question is, what are the reasons, what are those hindrances that are making her not get into an economic advantage? And maybe it's because of her maybe their personality, and this personality is their behavior. You know, people do not have budgetary skills, not budgetary skills, but budgetary attitudes. People want to spend, you know, like for example, people do not have financial literacy. These are some of the things that even those youth who are illiterate, I think things like financial literacy is something that is key for a business. I don't think you can be able to start any business without financial literacy. So if somebody doesn't have those kind of, you know, I think they need to get that. Besides, of course, the bottom line is to have a disciplined life.
Thank you, Douglas, my friend. Now, you have a lot of knowledge in agriculture, out of the research that you have done, especially on the pig farming and all that. Now, what are your future plans whereby we can incorporate possibly other farmers? Like now you see, like now the way the Gori farmers, they are doing. You know, they started as they are doing milk production. Then they are very, of late they have started even the yogurt and all these things. Now what I'm asking is, now do we have this kind of farming whereby possibly we may have other pig farmers in Anyuki or within the region? There are some things that they don't know. Is there any way that these people can be incorporated and possibly through you they can have some information?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is our strategic plan. And our strategic plan, as I said, that we are creating a farm as a research-based evidence. So right now we are in the, making the product. For example, just like any business model that create a need, do a product, make a margin, and make it sustainable. So what we are doing right now is that we are developing that product. And why we were showcasing ourselves in the showground is because we want to incorporate more farmers. We want farmers to visit our farm, and which they have been doing so. And we are not saying that we have achieved, but we are trying to create, and this is our strategic plan, to create a social platform whereby not only are we focusing on the business aspect or the commercial aspect, profitability of our own, but how can we help the farmers and the community, and especially the people around us, like Kipia, for example, to uplift the economic status through the knowledge that we acquired. And that answers maybe the question that my sister there asked. The challenges, some of the challenges that are there, you need not to go through them. Because us, we are kind of creating a research-based organization so that you can come and learn from us, okay? And we are also creating, we have been able to, even to some extent, also in a small way, create a market for most of the pig farmers. So it's something that we are doing. It's a social innovation that we are trying to do. More than a commercial aspect per se, we are trying to incorporate a social innovation into the farming project. And therefore, what we are doing, we are collecting data for our farm, and which we can showcase a farmer that if you have a pig farm, this is the kind of expected results that you are supposed to get if you do everything right. And we will show you what are those things that you need to do right first. So that yours is just the issue of the entrepreneurship that you need to instill in your business, especially the farming. Behind you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I want to just ask one question. We have seen foreigners coming to our land, lease land, 10 years, 5 years. They plant, they cultivate the land, and they make good returns and good money. But we Kenyans, we have small portions of land. Like now, the government said last time that we need to plant. Because of short lane, we need to plant maize that will last for 3 months or so. And I did that in Kiando. But you see the return, unaenda hapo unakushindwa kama ni mahidi ama ni nyasi. Because, so do you think, what are we lacking? Because the investors or the foreigners, they are feeding on us through our own land with good returns. Na wanaajiri watu wetu, and they pay them peanut, and they are making money. While we Kenyans, hata ukikoboa kashamba kadogo, upande tu mahidi ama bosho, there is no return, 0%. And them, they are making some good money. So what are we lacking? Is it lack of information, proper training? How can we advise small-scale farmers in such an incident?
Just wait. We pick another one, so just answer the last.
For sharing with us good information about farming. My concern is about food poisoning, because what we can call safety production, because I've observed the trend after we have messed up with the environment. We have come to a point whereby the pests have increased. So it makes production of food very tedious, whereby we have to use a lot of chemicals to control the pests. And because, as you have said, that the population is increasing, so we need a lot of food, and so we are going to do a lot of farming, and the same case, whatever we are doing is that as we produce a lot of food, there will be so many farmers who will want to produce a lot of food, and they will have so many people selling chemicals to control the pests, because we need a lot of food. And I have come to realize that there are so many people who are selling chemicals to control pests, and some of them do not mind the danger of the pests or the chemicals that is being sprayed to crops. So how can we check on the safety of the food that is being produced? Because we know that we can sometimes produce food which can be dangerous to our health. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to ask something about chicken farming. Well, sometimes back we had a lot of eggs in the country. I don't know whether they were coming from Uganda, but we didn't have market for eggs. Right now we have a shortage. I don't know how we can address this issue, because I think the farmers who did farming that time feared and they withdrew. How can we balance? Thank you.
Okay, I think to answer the two questions that has come, I think information is everything. You know, where we get our seeds, how we get to productivity. I think I can sum that all as information. And I think that is where I'm saying some of these issues, that some of the problems that we have as young farmers or small-scale farmers is about information. And this is the research that I did, and I hope one time it will get published. The institution of voice. And the key thing in institution of voice is about information. And currently, if you look at the market, there is so many platform apps on farmers. Like, for example, if you talk about pesticides and good seeds, there is something like Begu Choice, DigiCow. You know, those platforms, if you get into those platforms, they will be able to tell you, you know, the right seeds for a certain area, you know, because, and you can be able, like, for example, you asked about your crops went, you know, they reached a certain level. You know, if you get into a platform, because you might not be able to get maybe assistance from, even, because, you know, Kenya, we don't have agricultural officers right now, is that we have platforms that have access to agronomists, okay, who can tell you, you know, somebody who can be able to diagnose your land and your shamba and those kind of things. So I think, Pastor, to sum it all, is about technology. And technology is the key thing. And technology is where information will be there. I think we must stop being a little bit lazy and get ourselves into technology if we want to produce and, get good returns and good value for our money. The question about pesticides and those kind of things, again, it boils down to the information that is in the market. This company, most of the companies, they have self-interest. They produce, just like the weaponry industries, they will produce weapons for war, and therefore it might be, it might be morally upright, but accept it. These people are in business, and there are so many people who are doing business that are uncouth businesses. But currently, with the information technology, the way the information technology is moving, customers now have a choice. People are now so much concerned about and sensitive about what they are consuming. You find that people are asking, are these broilers, wanasemanga imedungwa sindano, those kind of things. So there will be mitigation from even the consumer's perspective, where they will, and even in Kenya, there are some products that you cannot export to Europe unless you certify that you have not used this and this kind of a chemical. So there is a government place in that, but because we are not government and we might not be, be in a position to talk about it right now, I think right now is we concentrate on what we call the sphere of influence rather than the sphere of concern. Let's not get concerned about, those things that are outside our control of influence, and look at what things can we influence. And if we can be able to influence, the acquisition of seeds, the acquisition of finances, because some of the things that might inhibit our productivity in our small shamba is because of finances. How can we get finances? And we have platforms like smart farming and those kind of things where a farmer can be able to access finances. You can also be able to insure your crops. You can be able to insure your pigs, and you can be able to, without going anywhere, at the comfort of your seat. So I think digital farming is the bottom line for me. And that is the bottom line, and that is the future in farming.
Oh, the fluctuation of eggs, there was plenty, and there's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I think, we are in a global world, and we might not run away from it. I know that instance where eggs from Uganda were coming to Kenya, and they were able to sell maybe an egg at, I think, 7 shillings, while Kenyans were selling at 10 shillings. These are, I think, it's about government regulations, and I think, the thing is, there is a lot of government policies that need to be in place for farmers, especially in our country where the economy depends on agriculture for about 33% of the GDP, for example. And if you look at even in a minute, if you look at even what the government is doing toward this, maybe, and I'm sorry to say, it's not doing so much, because if you look at even the Maputo Declaration of 2003, for example, where all the governments of Africa declared that they will put 10% of their GDP into agriculture. How much is Kenya doing? The national government is doing maybe 2.2% of agriculture, as much as agriculture is devolved. But giving the county government 12% of the GDP, and the county government giving agriculture, allocating agriculture only 6%. So the net figure is that the Kenya government is contributing maybe 3.2% in agriculture, far less than even half of what they promised and they declared that in 5 years they will achieve from 2003, the 10%. So some of the things that are happening is that why the eggs in Kenya are so expensive is because even the assistance that has been given to farmers, okay, besides the climatic changes that has happened, is that some of the policies that have been put by the government have not been, have not been productive, okay, or they have been less. If you look at when we said we are irrigating 1 million acres, Kulalo Galana, which would have solved our food security issue. Did we do it? No. So the cost of production, especially in chicken, which majorly You know, chicken will consume 50% of corn. That is maize. We do not have corn. We get it from Uganda. So if you look at the cost of transportation from Uganda, our cost of production will be much higher than Uganda. Because Uganda have, so to speak, they have some food security in place. Okay, I don't know, but I know Rwanda, they have food security. So the issue is, and that is why we are doing now technology and innovation by saying that let's not bother so much about, you know, soya and those kind of things. Can we now do precision farming, precision agriculture? Can we know what does that layer's chicken require? And those are the amino acids, you know, that precision. And give it just those amino acids. And those amino acids will be cheaper. So that if we get our products to the marketplace, we will be able to compete even with Uganda, because the world is going to comparative advantages. You know, those guys in Germany, they don't have land, for example. They have snow and those kind of things. So they don't have those, you know, those resources also. They are suffering climatic changes, but they have been able to produce. If you look at Spain, they are one of the biggest producers of pigs. Do they have a lot of corn? No, but they have, and it's food secure. It's not that it's chemicals. I'm not talking about, you know, injecting. I'm talking about sciencing the global food industry. It's not, we are not doing dawa things. No, it's about sciencing the food industry, and that is what I'm calling precision agriculture. And that is maybe what we need so that we can be able to compete globally. Because East Africa, we are becoming an East African community. So the government of Kenya is somehow bound to refuse eggs coming from Uganda. So what will you do? Will you stop farming? No. But we will have to think of ways of producing, you know, farming smarter. And the farming smarter is what we are talking about digitizing the farming sector in Kenya. Thank you.
My question, I think it was in line with what Muse had asked earlier, but I want to put it this way now. In as much as farming is about food security, and as a farmer, according to the measures you've talked about that you've put in place, that shows that you are profit-oriented. What are the measures that you're putting into place so that you can gain the consumer confidence, because most of the consumers have already lost their confidence because of the product that you're farming, because you say that right now you're working on ensuring that your pigs can attain 600 kgs in less than 5 months. So it has become like a consumer obligation to ensure that it is now his mandate to see whether he's eating something that is compromising with his health or their health, because the farmer himself is not upon his side, because as for him, it's about making profit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll ask a question. One about the biopiracy. At the moment, there is a biopiracy. Okay, maybe let me leave that one aside. Let me leave that one aside. I recently read an article about the top, the most food insecure countries in the world, and among the bottom 10, I think 7 are in Africa, and to make it worse, in the sub-Saharan Africa, which is considered one of the most agriculturally productive areas. So from looking at your portfolio and your global influence, how can we adopt the digitization mechanisms in the sub-Saharan Africa to harness the potential on agriculture? Then secondly, still the issue of middlemen, where I think we are the leading exporters of avocados from Africa, and there was a time the EU market had an issue with our avocados, but at the same time you'll find that we used to export our avocados to some Middle Eastern countries. They repackage it and sell it to the EU market. So how can we overcome that kind of market situation where our products cannot access our market directly, but when they go through a certain middleman, they get to the market? Thank you.
Those are tough questions. I hope I was the president. But anyway, the question of food safety. We have safety and I can't remember, safety and regulatory board or something like that. We have KEBS that is there to ensure that there is food security, food safety in our products. Most of the products that are Kenya, they have been certified by KEBS. Of course, we have some people who go, underneath and they don't get detected and they do that. But what we are ensuring in our farm there is that the products that we are offering, whether it's chicken, whether it's eggs, whether it's pigs, they are food secure for human consumption. The other thing is that the companies that we are working with, they are companies that are regulated by the European regulatory authority, like that Evonik company. So that we are sure. Just to clarify, the pigs will attain 100 kgs, not 600, in 6 months, not 600. Going to the question about how do we make maybe Kenya food secure, and I think there's a lot that need to be done. The issue of middlemen, what we call institutional voids in the market. I think what now the current trend that is going on is that, we might have a lot of concerns in this area, but I think better we focus on what can we influence. And this influence is about embracing technology. Like, for example, if it's the packaging of our product, how can we be able to reach to the final consumer directly? And there are some logistical companies like the one that I mentioned, Twiga Foods, that has been able to do that, especially in Embu, Meru, and those Kirinyaga areas, whereby they wiped out all middlemen. Because and this is based on a research that was done by a guy from America who asked the question, why should a banana be expensive in Kenya, comparatively, that is relatively expensive in Kenya, than in London and Dubai, for example? And yet Kenya is a producer of bananas. And that question alone made them start that Twiga Food, which is a technological company. And what they are doing, they have now put farmers in an app. So what I'm saying is that we need to embrace this technology, because like those farmers, and I have evidence in them because I did a research with those farmers, they are now making more money, far more than what they used to make, because the money is getting from their land through the scouts who come cut bananas, and Twiga comes and collect. They put them in a lorry to Nairobi, and they are able now from Twiga to distribute to the kiosk in Nairobi, because they are doing macro. Instead of, that farmer waking up in the morning, wait for a lorry on the road for 5 bananas, so those kind of things. That's a middleman who is there, who is a lorry. Then there is a broker. Then the banana must go to Marigiti. The Marigiti market there is somebody who will dictate the price and say this is the price for bananas. And for the Kariobangi or Karioko person to come and fetch those bananas to go and sell in their kiosk has to get a broker, and the banana becomes expensive. So with that technology of Twiga Foods, they have been able to remove all those people, whereby even those farmers, they don't have to wake up at 4, and even the buyers, the dealers in Kariobangi and those, they don't have to come early to buy the bananas, and therefore, the more the middlemen, the more the cost. So what I'm saying is that, briefly, is that let's embrace technology, because this technology, let's accept it, that we are in a 4th industrial revolution that is happening right now. We are digitizing everything. Everything is becoming digital. And now you do not need to go to the market. You can access market at your comfort of your seat. So check if you are producing avocados. See what is the market for avocados. I think that is briefly what I can answer. It's about information. It's about technology. Yes.
Give him.
Yes.
I've just listened to my friend Douglas talk about digitalizing, and some of us have really for years, tried to utilize things. But I've realized the young people are very much on digital things. And I have just asked myself, what is ailing, like those of us, let's not go out of this building now. What's ailing those of us who are here, who tell us they do IT, who tell us that they have even done some IT at university levels and what have you? Where is your trigger? Where is their trigger? Where is that? Where is that thing that? Why can't we have people here who can be able to do exactly what Trigger Foods are doing? Why can't some of us think and be innovative? Look at our problems and try to sort it. Earn from what I'm doing by creating, like now, what Trigger created. You know, I feel like we have so many young people with so much information, but I think it is dormant. So my feeling is like we should challenge ourselves to get out and wake up and try making some impact on that election, other than we being forced to, some of us here, even in building and technology, we are forced to go out there to look for other people to help because you can't hear of something near you. So I'm only trying to plead for help. For those guys who have it, arise and help us.
Yeah, just maybe to comment on yours and to add something from you, is that even in my farm, for example, I would welcome an IT person. Because some of the things that I'm talking about, they are not yet digitized. Why don't we get an IT person, experts in IT, and come with an app that is called Freewanda, you know, app of tick and management of pigs and those kind of things. But I can tell you, my brother, that one of the problems that we have, especially with the youth today, and I'm sorry to say, is that from the statistics, they spend 38% on social media, YouTube, Facebook, and those kind of things. Things that don't create, you know, any value, but things that are for entertainment. And I welcome your challenge that the youth who have done IT and soft engineering and those kind of things, I think it's a time for you to wake up and help guys like us through your skills and knowledge.
Another vacancy has been declared. We can take up the challenge. I think someone will take up the challenge, Sindio, and do something about it. Give him a mighty, mighty hand clap. Thank you so much. I'm amazed by how much your background from statistics and accounting is affecting your agriculture. I have never had it in that dimension, and I believe it is doing wonders. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time to be here. Let's stand.
Thank you.
And to give our offerings this morning. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we worship you, we glorify your name. Thank you, dear Lord, even for this morning. Thank you for the challenge, oh God. Thank you that we can do better than we have been doing before. Thank you that we have places that we have not even stepped to, things we've not thought about. Father, we refuse to make our conclusions of the minimal knowledge, personal knowledge that we have. Father, we are going to reach out for more, know more, get more, oh Lord, that will change our lives. We give you all the praise and all the glory. Thank you so much for Douglas. May you bless him and increase him in Jesus' mighty name. In our hands, our offerings, oh God, we give back what you've given unto us with joyful hearts, oh God. Father, we pray that where this has come from, oh Lord, much more shall go back to it in the name of Jesus Christ. We give you all the praise and all the glory, for in Jesus' mighty name have we prayed and believed. Amen. God bless you.